Alright everyone, welcome to a Anime Vanguards tier list. So I haven't done one for this game in a long time, and you can already see I've already sorted a bunch of characters into the tiers that I think they're in. If something's out of order, or you see someone who you think should be higher or lower, just keep in mind that a lot of these can probably be swapped around, and a lot of these just are my opinion. Not every single placement. Let's just say Yamamoto, right? I just threw him in meta DPS. I only really sorted these guys up here. If they're at the bottom, I most likely probably did not sort them, but just know that they're in this tier. That's really all that's important. But today, I wanted to go rank the new Dragon Ball characters and Stark from this brand new update 8.5 character update. I don't really know what else to say, but if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. It helps me get more videos out to more people, which helps me in turn make more videos. So I'm going to show the passives on screen for all of these characters, just so you can get a little bit of a better understanding on what they do before I rank them. And the people down here, these are people that I didn't really think were like that good, so I just didn't rank them, right? So if you see these people down here, I didn't rank them. I did rank Boo, and I did rank Sid. These are their transformations, so I didn't put them anywhere. And I guess I'll throw Julius down here, right? So let's start off with Frieza. So if you're unaware, I've already made a Monarch Frieza video, and out of all of these characters, I've played with all of them, but I've played with Frieza the most out of all of these guys. And Frieza's kit is absolutely crazy. Essentially what Frieza does is he can summon enemy soldiers onto the map. So almost like Jin Mori's clones, but just for Frieza, which is actually crazy. And depending on which alien soldier you put on the map, Frieza will get different buffs. Frieza's damage is actually crazy. He gets full AoE super early. He's not that expensive, so he's pretty cost efficient. He can solo the brand new dungeon by himself, and he's a great element. Frieza is an absolute must-have from this update. Genuinely, I think Frieza is probably like top 2 from this update, in my opinion. But Frieza, we're going to drag all the way up here. I'm going to put Frieza, I think, right here. I'm not even kidding. I think he's genuinely better than Escanor, in my opinion. Now, keep in mind, this whole list is just kind of with and without traits. I've used all these characters without Monarch, and I've used most of them with Monarch. So, I know how they play with both sides. Frieza, you do not need Monarch for this guy to cook. He can absolutely cook without it. With Monarch, he cooks even harder than he normally does. So, next unit we have here is going to be Coyote, aka Stark. So Stark is quite the interesting character. I'll show his passive on screen. So with Coyote, if you're unaware what he does, Coyote actually, every time he shoots an enemy with one of his weapons, they become marked. This unit spawns 2 wolves every 10 seconds who will constantly attack marked enemies. And then his next passive is anytime this unit attacks an enemy who is already marked, this attack is guaranteed to crit. So this is our second crit character already of this update. And then anytime this unit gets a crit, which obviously they're guaranteed if the character is marked, he already kind of has to hit them twice to do that. So I'm not a big fan of how that works, but anytime this unit crits an enemy, follows up with attack 1 for 60% damage, then applies a 50% slow for 20 seconds with a local 5-second cooldown. So going over all that is pretty good. He is a Storm unit, which Storm is, I don't want to say weak. There's not really a weak typing in this game, but Storm is definitely probably one of the weaker ones that's currently in the game. Coyote can have the potential to do good damage, but I think he's really held back by having to hit them twice to do it. His support, though, is great. Slow he's doing for 20 seconds, 50% slow. It is super great. He is still worth grinding, in my opinion. I'd probably put him around here. I think I'd put him below Goblin Slayer and GG. I think Coyote is really great. You don't really need Monarch on him. Only bad thing is his DPS is a little low, and he's super reliant on his crits and his wolves and marking people, really. That's it. So next character we have is going to be Gogeta. So Gogeta actually has 3 passives as well. The first one is super effective. He gets 100% crit rate, but then minus 25% crit damage. Anytime a fused unit in range swaps, make that swap count as 2 instead of 1. So basically, for example, if you have this Goku right here who swaps with Vegito, or swapped with Vegeta into Vegito. Anytime they swap, it's going to count as 2 instead. So if you combine that with Black Spirit, oh my gosh, you're going to get Vegito out basically instantly. Second passive, Fusion Reborn, reduces the cost of fused units you place upgrades by 25%, which is really great. Anytime this unit crits, which is 100% of the time, buffs fused units you place crit rate by 50% and gain half of their crit damage. So if the character you have has a lot of crit damage, this is going to be great with them. And then Tag Your It, which is the final one. Anytime your units or this unit crits, buffs this unit's crit damage by 5% up to 75% and perform attack 1 on a 5-second local cooldown. This unit has a 100% chance to dodge, so he can't get hit with any attack, basically. And there you go, that's Gogeta. You get him from the dungeon, super easy, super understand kit. Gogeta is, on paper, in my opinion, a really great unit. I think for me, I'm going to put Gogeta like right here at the top of meta DPS. I think you can argue lowering it down here, right, in the area, but the only issue with Gogeta, and the only reason I'm not putting him in top tier, is because he is very reliant on having those fused characters with him, because he needs to build up his crit rate and crit damage. And also on top of that, he's giving so much support to those characters, and there's only 2 characters in the game that we know of that are even affected by that. And that's literally that old secret, Vegito, which I don't even think is that great. And then Super Saiyan 4, Vanguard Gogeta, which is fallen off. So he's just reliant on people who aren't really that great anymore. That's the only issue I have with him. And then finally, we have the main man himself. We have Broly. Alright, so Broly has 3 passives along with an ability which he has right off spawn. His ability essentially works like a domain like Kaguya, and his domain cannot overlap with Kaguya's and Griffith's. So if you pop Broly's, you can basically only use Broly's, which is really sucky, and I hope they change that because that is really annoying. I guess it makes sense, right, if they're not on the same team, but the problem is, let's just say your friend's running Griffith. You can't pop your Broly ability, which I don't like. But going through his passives, we have anytime this unit has over 100% crit, that crit gets converted to crit damage instead, which is really great. Every wave, this unit gains 5% crit rate up to 95, and then anytime this unit crits, cleanses himself of debuffs, and has a 50% crit rate on placement that is lost on the first upgrade. So he's cleansing himself, which is great. He has a 100% crit rate. Anytime he goes over 100%, he's converting that into crit damage, which is super good because he's going to be doing more damage on his crits, which he's getting 100% of the time. So he's doing a lot there. And then his second passive, anytime this unit crits, he does attack 3, which is a full AoE attack, and then buffs his own damage by 50% by a 5-second cooldown, and this cannot stack. And then when this unit does attack 3, that full AoE attack inflicts Rupture, which is very useful. Super great. And then finally, his last passive, anytime this unit crits, reduces the cost of the next upgrade by 2% up to 30. This resets per upgrade. If this unit attacks an enemy and does not crit, follows up with attack 1 and buffs damage by 50% for 60 seconds. It cannot stack and is on a 5-second cooldown. So basically, if you fail to crit, which if you have Monarch on this guy, you probably are going to get a 50% damage buff, which is going to be pretty useful. The cost reduction, I don't really see being that useful in most game modes because, you know, you're probably going to get enough money per wave to upgrade him. But the nice thing is it's going to lower his cost, right? Which is always at least useful, even if it's just a little bit. Broly, I've seen a lot of calculations for him, and I've personally used him and toyed around with him a lot. Alright, so I actually happened to moving Broly down a little bit. I think without Monarch or Deadeye, I mean, he's not super amazing. Broly's one of those units where the team feels like it needs to be built around him instead of him holding up the rest of the team, which isn't a horrible thing, right? Because Unbound actually has a couple of good characters. I mean, you have Guts, you have Baiken, you have Aizen, you have Goblin Slayer. You actually have a couple good characters to use. It's just, I don't know. He feels a little weird. Maybe I'm just wrong. And maybe he should be higher up, like I said, but yeah. If you want me to be honest, I think I would put Broly maybe as the best unit in the game. If not, I would move him probably between these 3. I think for me, I'm going to put Broly right here. And I might actually move Sun Jin Woo down just a little bit like that. Broly is absolutely insane. A lot of people don't really understand how his passive works, which is completely fine because it's very confusing, but Broly is crazy when he actually works the way you want him to. But yeah, that wraps up today's tier list. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me out. And yeah, with all that being said, I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.